Interesting show this week, mate.
Yeah, very interesting.
We are talking about the best films of 1997.
Mm-hmm. The year I lost my... No, let's not talk about
Blockbuster
that.
membership card.
Yeah.
We've got a movie battle, which is Braveheart versus Field of Dreams.
Mm.
And we have the director of Ancestry Road, Glenn Triggs, on the show. Like, he's there, right there.
He's over there. Welcome to Good Movie Monday. Your home for nerdy cinematic ramblings. My name is Glenn Helwig. Sitting next to me is
Glenn Cochran.
my co-host, Glenn Cochran, and special guest for the show, Mr. Glenn Triggs.
The question is, do we have 5 ends in the room or 6 ends in the room?
Oh yeah, I think we've got 6. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're all double enders.
I've got 2.
But if you're converting Ben to Glenn, then you're 1 end. Because your name's not Ben.
Yeah, that is true.
The first N in my name is silent.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we've got Glenn and we've got Glenn.
Glenn.
Are you happy with
That's
how that
a lot
went?
Yeah, no, not at all. But look, before we talk about the week that has been, why don't we get the nonsense out of the way?
The old obligatories.
The obligatories.
All right, go to goodmoviemonday.com. That is our website, and from there you can go to all of our social medias and like, subscribe, comment, share, all that kind of stuff. It goes a long way, so definitely do that. And today's a good one to pass forward, or to pay forward, I should say.
Well, because Glenn is joining us because his new film Ancestry Road has just hit the cinemas. He's decked out in the merch, which is very cool.
Are you sick of talking about this shit? You've been all over the shop, like, talking about this.
No, not sick of it. No.
No? Excellent. Well, that's a good thing for us. We're going to get to it like later in the show and have a really good yarn about it. I'm looking forward to it. Love the movie, so this will be a good one. Maybe we should preface this by saying that Glenn's film is very wholesome, right? So there's probably going to be some people listening that are wholesome. We're not, right? So let it be known that there's going to be some.
We can try.
For that segment, let's try for that segment so that we can isolate it and put it on socials for those people that are less offended or more offended by what you say as opposed to what I say.
So no turkey slaps.
We will behave.
Just making sure.
We will behave.
Yes.
You're a Glenn now.
Yes, we will.
You're a Glenn now.
That's right. My personality has changed.
Rein it in, mate.
Now, this week you went to see a very new film.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go and see it.
You could have come.
I could have. Not only could I have come with you, I could have actually seen it on my own. And then I basically chickened out.
Why is that, Ben?
Okay. I'm a large unit in all senses of that word. And when I went to book tickets, the cinema was one of those Hoyt's Lux cinemas. So it's basically like watching it in your lounge room. And all the seats were taken except for a couple. So I would have been wedged in there with people I don't know, who don't know me, watching The Materialists. And I just did not feel comfortable doing it. I thought, look, I'll just wait till...
I was looking forward
next week.
I was looking forward to this conversation, to talk about this movie with you.
We can talk about it next week too.
I suppose so.
There's no we make the rules, Glenn. We can do whatever the hell we want. It's our podcast.
What are we going to be seeing before the next episode? We'll have 2 films to our...
I think we'll have the new 28
Yes,
years?
28 years later. So all right. Well, The Materialists.
We'll have that one.
Stay tuned. There's a cliffhanger for people.
Yeah.
A real teaser.
I think is there another one as well?
There may be. Anyway, look, The Materialists.
F1
I'll touch upon it. It's pretty good. It's a rom-com, but it's more of a dramatic rom-com, so it's like a rom-dramedy type of thing.
Which I think is what basically Dakota Johnson does now.
That's funny. When I wrote my review, I typed in Dakota Fanning. And God damn it, I have to go back and redo it.
And she's been Dakota Johnson longer than Dakota Fanning's been Dakota Fanning.
That's right. It's just
outrageous.
It is a very. I think it's an unconventional kind of film. I think it kind of flips the script on the rom-com and goes in directions I didn't expect. It is about a matchmaker. Dakota plays a matchmaker who's very materialistic. She dumped her boyfriend because he was poor. She is looking for a man that is rich.
Jesus Christ.
And the thing is, she meets the man that is rich, and he's also a very charming and likable guy. It's Pedro Pascal. And then her ex comes back into the scene on the same night she meets Pedro.
Is he rich now?
No, he's
It's
poor.
still
But
poor.
the old feelings come back, and she's got this dilemma. He's poor. You know? It's a really...
Is she rich?
No. She just wants to be. Yeah. But the whole movie is about the fact that she is open about how materialistic she is. You know, she knows how shallow and horrible she is. So.
You know what's really weird too? I did watch them in an interview, like one of those, not a proper interview, like one of those, YouTube ask the questions or whatever it is. It was one of those, those things that they always want to go viral that never really do when you promote a movie. And they looked completely fine together. I watched the trailer, and for some reason, and I don't know if this is a plot point in the film, but Pedro Pascal looked like he was 30 years older than
he does
than
look
she
quite
is.
old. Yeah, he does. He's got a amusing subplot that I won't go into. I was hoping you'd watched it because I was going to make a joke about it, but
because he looks like
have to wait.
he looks like George Hamilton.
He does a bit. He does. He looks
like he's like
or a fat Errol Flynn.
But in the promo interviews, he's
Well, that's because he's making another movie where he's had to trim
where he's
down.
had to trim down,
Yeah.
and maybe he's just after doing Last of Us 2, where he has to be all starved and no tan.
Right now, the cinemas are sort of dominated by mostly horror films, and so your film, Glenn, and this film are a good sort of alternative for people that
Counterpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely recommend that. There's also, before we push on to the next segment, there's been some celebrity deaths since we last spoke. So we had Brian Wilson, who is a musician, but he's also, intrinsically woven through the fabric of cinema with his music. That was sad. And Harris Yulin has passed away.
I thought you were going to say Paul Thomas.
No, why would I say Paul Thomas?
Because he passed away.
Did he?
Yeah.
Which Paul Thomas? I don't know Paul Thomas.
You're lying. You know who Paul Thomas is.
Well, this is the thing. So Harris Yulin is a name most people don't know, but he's a face that everybody knows.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, well, he's in Ghostbusters, Scarface, Training Day, Clear and Present Danger, Rush, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Look him up and you'll know.
Oh, hang on. He's the old guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the he's in he's the guy who lives under the house in Ozark.
Right. So I'm not familiar with Ozark, so I don't know.
And he's in Night Moves.
But you've proven my point. So the name didn't trigger anything, but
it's because it's actually weird because you know how I always complain when someone has a really generic name. I'm like, get to call yourself, Jack Johnson and expect to be a movie star when no one's going to be able to remember that name. Like, it's too plain. This guy has a super unique name, and I still had struggled remembering it.
Who did you say died?
Paul Thomas.
Paul Thomas.
Now, among other things, Paul Thomas was in Jesus Christ Superstar.
I did see that.
But after he was in Jesus Christ Superstar, he became a big-time porn actor and director.
Well, that's why you know him. That is why you know him.
That's why I said you know him too. Because
man, that's a joke that tanks because of me.
Because and look, I've hooked into your Wi-Fi, so I've seen a bit of the old search history has come across.
There is a very small but passionate fragment of our audience that will know exactly what you're talking about, right?
He's one of the great. He was the reason he was one of the greats is because he did have that legitimate film background.
Yeah.
He was actually like a big. He was not Broadway, but he was New York. He was a New York theater guy.
Yeah, he's a Stephen Jeffries.
Yeah, totally. Except he's like I said, he's in Jesus Christ Superstar, and he's not like one of the guys in the background.
Yeah.
He's not Barabbas, but he's one of the 12 apostle kind of guys. Like, he's a big part in the movie.
So you are behaving yourself. This is a pornographic conversation without you actually being filthy. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
It's Terrific TV Tuesday, the only Tuesday TV segment that drops on a Monday.
Time for Terrific TV Tuesday. Are you a big TV fan, Glenn?
No, I'm not.
No.
I don't watch much TV at all.
At all?
No, I haven't seen a lot of the great TV shows either.
Like, so not reality, not game
No.
shows, nothing.
The only shows I will watch on a regular basis is probably Fool Us, Penn and Teller's Magic series, and The Amazing Race.
Yeah, right.
And that's kind of it.
Who's your favourite host on the Penn and Teller one? Do you like Alison Hannigan? Or do you like the previous one?
I
Was
think
it the
Alison
guy
was
with
good.
the lisp, the British guy with the lisp?
Yeah,
Jonathan Ross?
Yeah, Jonathan Ross.
right.
Yeah,
What's he?
Yeah, they got a new one now. I forgot her name, but I just think it's a great show. A lot of people don't know about it. I speak to a lot of friends, and I'm like, "Have you seen Fool Us?" They're like, "What's Fool Us?"
Was that show better when he was fat or when he was skinny?
It's the same.
Is it?
It's honestly the same. Yeah, he didn't. Nothing's changed too much.
I guess when magic's your thing, you're not relying on the comical.
Yeah, but it works better when you're a fat guy with Teller. When you got a little guy and a little thin guy, and like it's the bit.
We can almost say that for ourselves, but I'm catching up to you, my friend. That's the problem. And the problem is
One of us.
our recording sessions usually either start with or end with junk food. So
Yeah, that's right.
That is
But
why.
The interesting thing is now we use a DJI Pocket to record the show. We're doing more video. The viewers can actually go back and watch as I slowly increase about how much of the table I take up.
You keep pushing me into the corner.
Soon it's just going to be, it'll be like those, the fat pigeons in those Warner Brothers cartoons. Where they're all just stuck and it just sags down.
Oh, the crows on the power line.
Crows? Yeah. I actually, speaking of the Amazing Race, I follow this Scottish guy on YouTube. His name's Steve Marsh, and he does these travel videos. A lot of ferry, come with me while I on a ferry for 12 hours from. He's got a great Scottish accent, and it's got to the point now where I just listen to it just to relax. I'm never going to go on any of these ferry rides or anything like that. And I'm not particularly interested, but I just love watching him. And he's auditioned for the Great Race, for the one that they're shooting later in the year.
Okay.
The UK one.
Yep.
So I'm very excited to see if he and his partner get on. Because then I will actually... I watched the Mike White. The filmmaker Mike White. He went with his dad.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
They
okay,
did
yep.
He's the guy who did Orange County and...
Oh,
now
yeah.
he's-
Yes,
done White
that's
Lotus,
right.
yeah.
Yes.
School of Rock.
School of Rock,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. He's like a real...
I remember loving Orange County when that came out.
Because it was the black and white production. Because Jack Black and Mike White worked together on a whole bunch of things, and that's what they called their little production company, or whatever.
Yeah.
Black and white or white and black.
Ebony and Ivory. No, that's something else.
So what have you watched this week, Ben?
I don't know. I know we've talked about this off air. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it with you. But back in the 90s, I remember there were two alien kind of animated TV shows. One was called Exo Squad, which was a kids series that played in the morning, which I've got the DVD of. But the other one was this one called Invasion America, which seemed to disappear. And it was a Warner Brothers show. It was actually made for primetime.
Yeah.
It only went for one season.
That is odd. Prime time.
It was part of the CW's primetime lineup, along with Buffy and stuff.
Yeah.
And but thankfully, of course, the place you go when things disappear is YouTube.
Absolutely.
And someone's put it together. Unfortunately, I think it's 13, 14 half-an-hour episodes, but they've just chucked it together in one big hunk, and they've kind of, they've cut out the intro, so you don't have to. It is easier to watch if you want to spend 2.5 hours, per chunk.
But YouTube remembers where you stopped, so you can just way back in.
It's exactly what I've been doing. It's been great. So I watched this show, and look. I'll read you the IMDb synopsis. It's a bit. It doesn't really do a great job of explaining what the show is, but.
That's okay. You never do a good job.
Yeah,
of
I do a really
anything,
bad job
so
of it
it's
anyway.
fine.
Kale Osher, leader of the planet Tyrus, learns of a plan to invade America because America is the only country on Earth that counts. To invade America and Earth. When he refuses, the Dragot stages a coup and tries to kill him. Cole meets an Earth woman, Rita Carter, and together they have a son, David, before Kale returns to Tyrus. That is the IMDb synopsis. That is what happens in the first first episode.
Okay.
The rest of the show is the son, who's half alien, half human, who doesn't know that he's these things.
Yeah.
Basically discovering what he is, and they've got this like a power glove. It's really like looks exactly like a Nintendo power glove that gives him royal powers. And he has to try and save the Earth from this technologically superior alien invasion force and reclaim his throne. Basically, it's really good. Lorenzo, the voice talent is amazing. So get this: Lorenzo Lamas, Christian McNichol, Ryder Strong from Boy Meets World, James B. Sicking, the dad from Doogie Howser, MD, Eddie Albert, Ronnie Cox, Leonard Nimoy, Dee Wallace, Robert Urich, Tippi Hedren, and Tim Daly.
How did they afford them?
I don't know. And the thing that really struck me, which I've never really paid attention to in an animated movie before, but there's a scene where a car is driving along the desert, and there's like a Journey song playing on the radio, and it sounds like it's coming from the car radio.
Yeah.
It's not something I've ever seen in like an animated
No wonder this show
film before.
disappeared. Like they couldn't afford to keep it going.
Yeah. Not with that.
God,
Not with that
It
talent.
sounds pretty amazing.
It is surprisingly good. Exo Squad, which is much more like Thundercatsy, is a bit punchier, but it is definitely worth checking. Definitely worth checking out if you're into like.
Never heard of it at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Adult
I'm keen.
kind of
I'm keen.
animation.
It sounds like a great concept for an adaptation, a live action.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
for
surprised it wasn't.
Yeah, I know. I'll keep mine short and sweet. I have been watching Elf.
From
That's-
Melmac.
That's landed
the
on, I
animated?
think, on Amazon Prime. All episodes are there.
The animated or the live
No,
action?
the live action.
Okay.
The live action's just the best. I mean, it's got Max Wright. How can you?
Can you do a Max Wright impression?
Oh,
Just say Mrs. Arkmonic.
Mrs. Arkmonic. I don't believe so. No one can do. No one.
No.
Great show, but that's not my recommendation. I just mentioned that one because you mentioned 80s, and I'm like, yeah, I was in that vibe as well. But I did find a new show on Apple Plus called Stick, which is with Owen Wilson.
Yeah, it's the Tin Cup series.
Yeah, it's also got Mark Maron as the second lead.
Oh, okay.
So he's quit his podcast now. That's why he's doing Stick, I guess.
Has he actually quit the podcast?
Yeah, he's winding it down. He's about to do the last episode next month or before the year
Wow.
ends anyway.
Like in the last 2 months, I've just been gone crazy on this series of audiobooks.
Yeah.
So I haven't listened to any.
Well, you've got heaps of catching up to do. It's been going for 16 years, so I mean,
I was listening to it pretty regularly up until recently.
he's in this, and he's great in shows. He was great in Glow. Remember that? Yeah, and he plays a similar kind of character here.
And he's the guy in Almost Famous who does Shut the Gates.
That's right. I forgot about that. Peter Dager, Judy Greer's in this. Mariana Trevino is in this. It's a good cast, and it's essentially about Owen Wilson plays a sort of a washed-up pro golfer who disgraced himself with a bit of a meltdown on the course, 15 years ago or so. He gets a chance at a bit of a comeback when he discovers a teenage sort of prodigy and takes him on the road to the amateur circuit to lead him towards the pros. And it's just a very laid-back, casual kind of show. It's full of F-bombs, but in a really casual way. Like, it's nice. Like, if they took the F-bombs out of this, it'd be a really wholesome PG show. But I kind of like that they left them in. It's sort of something nice for adults. It's not laugh out loud funny or any of that. It's just really, really nice. But the showrunner and the director of this is a guy called Jason Keller. And he wrote Machine Gun Preacher, if you remember that.
I do remember that.
I love that movie. And Ford versus Ferrari, of all things. So it's a really odd kind of TV show for him to get behind and direct every episode.
You know what was missing from Ford versus Ferrari?
Holden?
F-bombs.
Oh, F-bombs. Should have known. And titties.
And titties.
Although I have seen Christian Bale as his new character in the Madden film, and he's got him.
Yeah, right.
Titties, he's got him. Anyway, so there you go. Stick. It's worth a look. It's on Apple Plus. I don't know. Did you come to the episode with anything in mind? If you didn't, I've got stuff to talk about.
As in,
Have you watched anything recently?
like TV shows?
Yeah.
I was watching Spellbinder.
Oh my god.
Remember Spellbinder? I
What a
love.
fucking great show
I
Spellbinder
love
was.
Spellbinder. I would come home from school and it was on, and my mum would always make like these like slices and stuff, like custard slices, and I'd sit there and just watch Spellbinder, and it was just like this magical.
Slice, man.
You know, it's all hot outside, and you're inside. It's nice and cool. And then I remember going to the library just before the final episode aired in Australia, and we got the book. And me and my friend read the last page, and we're like, so that's how it ends. We just ruined it for. I don't know why we ruined it for ourselves, but we did.
You got those people that pick up books and go straight to the end, you know, before they read it.
Yeah, we just went straight to the
yeah.
end. But
I would've
Spellbinder's great. Spellbinder, I don't know what it is about it. I feel like it might get remade at one point, and it'll sort of ruin it. But
I love this because if you hadn't had anything, I would have said, let's go back to your childhood and let's talk about TV shows that you loved. What
And
other?
this is both. The thing that always freaked me out about Spellbinder was I didn't I didn't do any research on the show at the time or anything like that, so I couldn't figure out why the two main kids had accents.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, why are they? Where are these kids? Like I recognized the Anya woman and
Yep.
and stuff. I'm like, and is it Bud Spencer or Bud Spencer? Is in it?
I'm pretty bad with names.
The guy from the Bud Spencer
Terence Hill
movie,
stuff, yeah,
like
yeah.
he's like the big bearded kind of. I think he's
Oh,
like in one
yes,
of the
yes, yes.
villages or
Yes,
something like
yes.
that. He just pops. He's not even like a pivotal character or anything like that. He's just in it,
Yeah.
and you're like, what is? I just completely blew my mind, and then eventually, years later, I'm like, oh, it's like a Polish.
No, it's Aussie. It's Aussie.
Australian
cross.
co-production.
It was a cross thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
because you got Joel Edgerton was in there at one point. Would have been very young. Heather Mitchell.
Yeah, Heather Mitchell's the Anya character. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah, but the two
it's like
the two leads,
Christoph Kumar
I
and
was going to say pronounce their names.
Christoph Kumar and Julia Bizasco.
Yeah, there's I think there's Y's and S's and K's
There's-
that go together that shouldn't go
There's
together.
a lot of I've fallen asleep on the keyboard names here. Yeah. You're right. That I feel like
And I think isn't Andrew McFarlane from Man from Snow River is the dad, and you're like,
Yeah.
why has the dad got an Australian accent and the kid doesn't?
yeah.
that I feel like
right, yeah.
that show. I bypassed that show. I feel like I was just the
Probably
wrong
too-
wrong age for it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely an after-school show. There was like, you'd come home from school and there was a certain amount of shows that were on after school. There was like Heartbreak High.
I feel like I'm like a
Spellbinder.
half a generation above you. How
Okay.
old are you?
42.
I know
Only about the
you're
same age.
about the same.
But there was also it was limited.
yeah.
Well, there was back then. There was still only the,
Mind you,
the
I was
5
watching
channels.
shit like Danger Bay and stuff like that at that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean there was still only the 5 channels on TV, so you just watch what was on.
Yeah.
And it was like, am I going to watch that, or am I going to watch Antiques Roadshow, or
Yeah.
the news for the 5th time?
news.
Like you just kind
The
of.
news was huge when I was a kid. Everyone was watching the news. And now our kids have never seen the news.
There's
Like,
nothing
it's
for him there.
so weird. Yeah.
So
it's-
that Skyhook song means absolutely nothing to them.
that's right.
Why was there a horror movie on my TV? What are they talking about?
There's more truth in the movies these days anyway.
There's
What I think is life's like a road, and it's a road that wanders up a hillside.
Legislation requires a town permit to build such a lengthy platform or structure, aka the road.
But our property ends on the hilltop, I thought.
This really feels like a gift or something, though, you know, something special.
But why us? Why now?
Who are we to say what is possible? I've never lived this life before. I've never died. To predict or even assume we know what's going to happen.
Face this world, learn its ways, watch it. In the end, you will find clues to it all.
Usually this is where I say, you know, we're going to throw to an interview right now, but our interviews come to us. We don't have this happen very often.
no. I think this is the second time since I've been on the show that we've had a filmmaker sit down with us
Yep. Actually live in the episode.
in the episode. Yeah,
We usually pre-record, chuck it in the middle.
Yep.
It's great to have you here, obviously. You've been on for the last, 20 minutes? Half an
Yeah.
hour?
That's good. I live just down the road. Like this is perfect for me. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, like you are. Yeah, you're a local filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just come on every week.
Come around and shoot the
Just
shit.
come around, yeah.
8-minute drive it took me to get here.
Oh,
so.
amazing. So let's talk about Ancestry Road, and there's other stuff of yours I want to talk about a little bit as well. But as I said, it's been doing the rounds. Like, you've really done a great job getting this movie out there. It's all over the socials. It's screening at the moment, I believe.
Yeah, it's screened at a few cinemas, and we're hoping, rumour has it, there's more cinemas coming on board, which is great. But we had it down at the State Cinema in Tassie, and they got like overwhelmed with phone calls of all the locals that wanted to see the film that was made in Tassie.
Was shot in Tasmania.
Yeah, so they're getting like, I don't know, 100 calls a day or something ridiculous. So we're hoping that they put it on again.
Well, that's got to feel good.
It does, yeah, and it's getting really great reviews. Like, people seem to. It's definitely for older people. I think it's like adults and parents and grandparents. It's that sort of
people
fun.
like us. We're suckers for like sentimental kind of.
Yeah,
stuff.
I was going to say it is the Del Keith of today. Do you remember Del Keith? Do you remember that?
No.
I used to go to the.
Now he's showing his age.
I used to go to the Waverley Cinema, Pinewood.
Yeah,
because they did the $2.50 movies
Yes.
and stuff like that. And they had the exclusive run of this movie, Del Keith, which was set in a retirement home. Gus Mercurio is the star of it.
I do remember that.
And they have a greyhound. They win a greyhound or they rescue a greyhound, and then they race the greyhound. And it's just this lovely film about these retired people, all kind of finding a new lease of life around this greyhound called, I think the greyhound.
That would have been around the time of Waking Ned Divine, that kind of... Yeah.
And it was this thing. It was this huge... they played it because they had the exclusive and they had 2 or 3 screens. They just played it 3 or 4 times a week.
Yep.
Every week for like a year. Back when movies actually stayed in the
for a while.
for a year.
Rather than me butcher the synopsis, do you want to just tell people that don't know what is Ancestry Road?
It's about a Scottish farmer, and his daughter keeps going up the back of their Scottish property. Everything's Scottish in this film. Going up the back of the property, and for mysterious reasons, she'll just go up there in the middle of the night, like it's raining, like all these weird times. And so they decide to build a road. A Scottish road, so they can drive their Scottish cars up to the back and get her, basically. And then these mysterious Scottish cars, turn up, and they're deceased family members, like his mum turns up and his grandparents and stuff, and they're not really sure why they keep turning up, and then it's all revealed sort of at the end why it's happening. So it's a sad film. It
is sad, but it's also wonderful. Like, I think it's as uplifting as it is, sentimental and all that kind of stuff. Where did this story come from?
It was a dream. I had a dream one night that my grandparents had turned up to my house, and they passed away many years ago. And they turned up and they saw my kids, and I was like, "Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah,
like, these are my kids. This is fantastic."
Yeah.
And then I slowly was looking at them in the dream, and I'm like, "You guys should not be. This is no, something's wrong. You should not be here." And then the dream sort of almost became like a horror film. Like, it all started to dissolve away, like something out of Inception or something. And I was like, "Oh, okay." That sort of stuck with me. And then a few more things. The dream kept coming back. A few more times, different people came to visit, and I'm like, it's kind of a good idea for a movie. Maybe I'll call it The Driveway. So maybe there's a suburban house with a driveway in it, and these deceased people start turning up, and I thought that kind of works. And then it slowly just got bigger. It was just like, maybe a farm is a bit more cinematic.
It's not far for them to go in a driveway. Like, if you set this in Baronia, like, grandma's coming up the driveway, she doesn't need help.
Yeah. It's a big...
Check the mailbox while you're there, Nan.
It's a big part of the film that they don't really know where the cars are coming from. It wouldn't work on a short driveway.
Because the answer would be the shops.
And you'd have problems in...
exactly.
And I think you'd have problems in Adelaide, because when we were there, there weren't that many driveways.
And the shops closed early, so they couldn't come from there.
Yeah, they couldn't come from the shops.
Yeah, but there's a mystery to this that is really, really wonderful.
And it's never... I like that it never really gets answered. I like that there's no scientific reason. There's none of that sort of stuff. It is very much Field of Dreams, like what we're sort of talking about later, hopefully. It's the mystery. I think the mystery's got way more power than anything that I could explain in a film. And
so you went to Tassie, obviously, to get a Scottish kind of landscape. But tell us about, like, securing the property that you're on. How do you convince somebody to bulldoze right through the middle of their paddock? Like, it's no small thing for someone that owns land.
It was we got to use the house. That was the first thing that we got. And we loved the house. Like, the Bohill Grange was it's an Airbnb in Tassie, so we got to use that. And luckily it was an Airbnb, so it's set up for people to come and visit, which was great. And then the next door neighbours, they owned like a lot of the land around there. So we went and sort of knocked on their door, I think twice over 2 different days. spoke to the owner, a guy called Pete, and we're like, can we, dig out the middle of your property, just like, this much dirt, basically.
Yeah.
And he was pretty much like, yeah, the tractor's just over there. Just go for your life sort of thing. And we're like, oh, wow, okay, that's great. So we...
Imagine having so much land that you're just like, yeah.
Oh, he's also a better property owner than the one in the movie. Yeah.
Heaps of land. Heaps and heaps and heaps of land. So that was very lucky for us for it all to work out that way, which was really good.
Amazing. And it's no small feat taking a production like when you're used to making films locally, going all the way over there to make stuff. Talk about the casting. Are these... Scottish? Like, are they expats? Are they Scottish from Scotland? Are they...
Yeah, so I think we had 3... It's half-half. So we had 3 actual Scottish people in the film.
So, hang on, which ones are the...
So Seb, the dad, he's the father of the family. And then Bill, the grandfather, he's actually Scottish. Never acted before in his life.
You're kidding.
So he was a great find. And then I think Alex, he's the guy at the hotel. So near the end, he's also Scottish. But everyone else was putting on accents for the film. So.
Even the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, the youngest boy was dubbed. We had to dub him with a real Scottish kid. So that was the only way we could do that because we found the perfect kid, but not the perfect accent.
So did the casting call for redheads?
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted a lot of redheads in the film, yeah.
Because, funnily enough, because I have friends in, which I didn't realise, like in high school, there's a good friend of mine who you've actually met. I won't mention his name, but his mum was had super bright red hair. Both the kids, super bright red hair. Dad, not so much. It really
Brown.
follows through. Yeah,
yeah.
It really follows through the mum. Like it's
my parents never had red hair, but me and my sister do, and none of my kids do. So it's I think it skips things apparently.
Yeah, what's the? We did it in science. It's a something gene.
Yeah,
the
red hair, the skipping gene.
Yeah, where it's
dormant.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Just imagine what it's like to have hair.
Yeah, it's been so long. Like you don't know. I could have red hair. Yeah. I could. You don't know.
I don't.
I don't think I've known either of you when I had hair.
Well, you've got I
don't know. When did we release Apocalyptic? That was...
You've got a blank canvas. Your white
2014 maybe?
2014. I think I'd already shaved my head and got rid of whatever was there. And I was already going grey.
Ah, cool.
That's another film he's made.
Whatever's left...
Too many.
Whatever was left had gone grey anyway. So I could be a redhead. I always had this idea that for a movie called The League of Red-Headed Gentlemen, where it was basically that it was they're actually like a redheads are a split of the like they're not Homo erectus, they're not Homo sapien, it's a different one, and they're slowly being bred out. So they come up with this plan to reintroduce the gene, and it's like a kind of a James Bond type thing where they're saving they're saving the ginger. It was a whole thing. I had this whole plot which I can't remember now, but it was.
Well, that could be Ancestry Road Part 3 because Part 2 is that horror film you almost described before.
Yeah. I think so.
Well, that was the interesting thing in that I don't know how much to give away. I don't know how much.
Don't give much away.
I don't know how much has been given away in the.
I can bleep what you're saying if it does give too much away.
All right.
Yeah.
So, it's in the title. So the ancestors are, and I do like the part in the film where the ancestors are so distant that they're kind of just left with whoever's at the house, and they don't know. They've got no frame of reference as to who these people are.
It's like the only joke in the whole film is that little moment that always gets a laugh, always, which is great.
And they're just sitting there like. But I guess that the rule of the film is that they have to be the automobile had to have been invented for them to visit.
Yeah, maybe. I remember a producer had said something to me about that. He's like, "Why is everyone in a car?" And I was like, "I don't know, it just looks good on camera." I guess it just. And then they turn up. They need the car for a reason, I guess, at the end. But yeah, we had a lot of issues with cars actually in the film, trying to get number plates and all that sort of stuff.
But did they get bogged? Like, was that a hard road to drive on?
No, the road sort of, because it snaked sort of up the road. It was fine. Like if we got bogged once, I think, with the bus going up one day. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Has anybody from Scotland seen the film yet?
Yeah. Yeah, and people think it was filmed in Scotland.
That's amazing.
Yeah, surprisingly, actually. Very surprisingly, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, I mean, that's a good sign. It's a win for the accents.
Yeah, we got lucky. I think there's a Hills Hoist clothesline in the film that was a bit of a problem, but we got away with that, I think, just luckily, hopefully. Yeah.
And you've made a habit of documenting everything you do. Like, I know with your last film, you make like behind the scenes features and things like that. You've gone to town on this one too, so people can actually go onto your YouTube or Facebook page and catch some of those.
All that sort of stuff. Yeah, I spent about 6 months making a documentary about how we made the film, which took was a lot of editing on that. I don't know why. And then I've just edited like a vlog, I guess, of just going around all the Q&As that we did down in Tassie and stuff. So that'll be on the DVD when that comes out later on. So yeah.
Who's releasing the DVD? Who's picking it up for
Bounty
distribution?
Entertainment will be releasing it, and so Radioactive have it for theatrical, and then it'll be on some more. It's just started streaming today. It's streaming, I think, like Apple and iTunes and all the all the streamers like that. And we'll get some more hopefully. A bit later on. So.
Radioactive have really been like rising up lately. Like they're making a big wave in sort of distribution at the moment. So got some good stuff coming out. I want to ask about some other films of yours as well.
Yeah, I see you sort of going, I want to know about this film. And
I mean, I have enjoyed what you do. 41 is just like, I think that's just such a freaking great movie. And how many views has that had on YouTube?
We got up to it almost got to 10 million at one point. I think it got taken off YouTube a couple of times. Like it was there, then it got disappeared, then I had to put it back on again, and all these sort of problems with that. But YouTube. I think when I initially made the film, we won like every festival we entered, which has never happened to me since, and probably never will again. And I put it up on like a pirated film site because I was like, I want to get the film out there. People started downloading it and people started leaving comments, and they were like, this is actually, we really like this film. It's got it's very low, super low, but no budget sort of movie. And then I took it off the pirate sites and put it just on different streaming sites. But yeah, it just went really well online. It's just digital
just
online.
A really great simple concept. Like it's a time travel movie, but it works though. Like the logic kind of works and it comes together really well.
Yep.
I love that one. I was going to ask, like, other than, let's just put Ancestry Road out of the equation, because that's always the default answer when you say to somebody, what's your favourite movie that you've made? What do you reckon?
I've got favourite reasons for different ones. So I know, like, Cinemaphobia was probably the most fun movie to make. That was just, we're at a cinema for 41 days, it was, exactly. And Dreams of Paper and Ink was probably the easiest film I've ever made. That was just a couple of actors and just me with the camera.
Away. We spoke about that on the show.
Yeah, you seem to like. Yeah. I think you had a similar idea. You were saying years ago you thought of a film similar to that or something.
Like a lot of the concepts were very familiar to me, and the way you shot it, and it was shot at Phillip Island, and I know the location, so that film just spoke to me in a very personal way.
Yep.
And there's no dialogue. It's almost like a large music video, isn't it? Like from start to finish with an actual narrative.
A little bit, yeah. It's got a lot of music, and they sing a couple of times, but yeah, there's no one says any dialogue to give away any of the story, so that was sort of the part of it. Apocalyptic was kind of a very quick film. We shot that in like 4 days or 5 days or something, so it's really fast. So
and don't forget Comic Kids.
And Comic Kids, yeah, that was probably the most stressful film to make. That was like the biggest sort of
It's a high concept film.
Traveling around all over the place to get that film made. So that was a lot of work, a lot of years on that film, but.
Yeah, man.
Heaps of fun.
There's independent filmmakers, and then there's independent filmmakers, if you know what I mean. And I feel like you're one of those, and you seem to pull off some really great stuff with very minimal resources. How does a project come together for you? Do you have a team that comes back every time? Do you have to build a new team?
It's always different. Yeah, it's usually just me with an idea most of the time, and I'm kind of like, I think with Ancestry Road, it was sort of like, I think I can make this film. And I feel like Tassie is a good place to shoot it in, but we had to get a whole new cast for everything. So it's always fresh each time. It's always a challenge. It's never.
Yeah, I did notice the old Michael Godson wasn't in Ancestry Road. He didn't make the. He's too creepy to be the granddad or David. To be any of the. He could have been like a. I guess he could have been the guy in the hospital bed. That's probably all I can. It's probably the only character I could see him playing in.
True, actually, I never even thought about that. That's Campbell Shanks.
You're the personification of
what
that.
What a great name, Campbell Shanks.
Yeah.
I was like, is that made up? When I saw the credits, I was like, is that made up?
He, I think he was 94. He passed away last year. I think it was pretty sure it was last year, but he was 94. and never acted before either, and gives a little great, small sort of performance of the film, which is excellent.
That's what I was going to say. You're the personification of when people say, just go out and do it. I feel like that's what you do. Like, I know there's a lot of things I'd love to do. I just never do it because, I don't know, with lack of courage. If it's lack of, I just can't be bothered. You just seem to have an idea and you chase it.
Yeah, it's always a lot of work. I feel I guess I just feel itchy if I don't do something. So I know when all this stuff dies down for Ancestry Road, I've got another film I want to get off the ground, but that will end up being the biggest film I ever make. I think that's a really crazy sort of project. So
wow, cool.
That sort of scares me a bit. So I'm not running towards that anytime soon. But it's just a lot of work. I'm I'm up at 5 every morning just on the computer, just doing stuff and writing things and editing things, and it's just like what you guys do. Like you do it, you love it so much, you just can't keep your hands off it. Really, it's just
Well, you know all about that itch that I have, and I'm talking about
yeah.
You recommended an ointment.
Yeah.
It's called a medical condition.
The second that we fold the show up for the year, because we take a bit of a hiatus over the Christmas break, no sooner do we finish, I'm on the text team like, we've got to do something. We've got to get back on the mic. I need to be doing something.
Yeah, I think it keeping your mind busy, and it just, I don't know, it just feels right. So I feel weird if I'm not doing something.
Yeah.
And it feels relaxing to me to be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't relax otherwise. It's like I can't lay down and watch TV. I'm like, I'd rather just be editing something,
All right, big question before we move on to the next segment. So back in the day, Sam Raimi made Evil Dead, right? Very low budget kind of horror film, made a big impact. And then the studio wanted him to remake it. They gave him a massive budget. They said, go and do it again. He gave us Evil Dead 2. If a studio were to say, hey, here's $50 million, remake one of your films, which one would it be?
Oh, that's such a good question. That's a really good question. It would... It'd probably have to be maybe 41, I guess, because we had nothing to make that film. That was less than $4,000 or something to make that whole movie, and I think the story's probably maybe strong enough to be made.
Got a built-in audience too.
Maybe, yeah. But I think I always feel like trying to do that again is just it would never be as. I think that's what makes it sort of good because it's so cheap. It's such a it's such a cheap film. But
did you shoot that near the Lilydale Cemetery? I reckon I recognise the Lilydale Cemetery for this.
Yeah, I don't know about. There was there's no cemetery here, Pakenham.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Pakenham Cemetery. We shot that. Yeah, and we also outside the bottle shop up here as well, and all sorts of places around heaps of Pakenham spots for that, and very locally made.
You need to post that movie on the Pakenham notice board.
Yes, I have actually. Yeah. I was like, watch this film. It's made just down the road.
Made
yeah.
Awesome. I was going to say this is the non-wholesome part. I've tried. I think I've lasted 99%.
Before you do, let's just say let's wrap up the isolated portion of this and say thanks for coming on to chat about the film. Now, Ben, as you were.
So if you're given a lot of money, if somebody was going to buy the remake rights to make a porno parody of any of your films, which one would it be?
It would have to be Ancestry Road, right?
Yeah, certainly couldn't be Comic Kids.
I feel like he's thought about that before.
I had a friend of mine. I think he became quite obsessed with that term for a long time. He thought it was very funny to call the Ancestry Road, but and it's still funny apparently.
1997, Monica Lewinsky sucked Bill Clinton's dick in the Oval Office.
The year is 1997. Ben and Glenn probably have just graduated from high school. Or no, this would have been our last year in high school.
Mine was a little out of whack because I was in Canada.
Son of a bitch, you always throw that in my face.
I probably have just finished.
Hanging out with South African directors and getting offers to work on Lee Tamahori films while poor old Chuckles here is stuck at Ashworth Secondary College not getting laid.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. So the highest grossing films of 1997 were, at number 10, The Full Monty. I'm curious how many of these I haven't seen. I have not seen The Full Monty.
Yeah, same.
The Fifth Element I have seen at number 9. Number 8, My Best Friend's Wedding. I have seen that, unfortunately. Liar, Liar at number 7, which I have not seen. As Good as It Gets.
I'm shocked.
At number 6, which I think I have seen. Air Force One at number 5. Tomorrow Never Dies, the James Bond film, at number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Men in Black Who Have Sex with Each Other at number 3. It's a dirty work gag.
Yep.
For the fans out there, keeping track. Number 2, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. And number 1, Titanic, which I have not seen.
Wow. Okay. So firstly, what we've established is we definitely need to do another spin-off show where we pick 10 movies you haven't seen and we watch them and then we talk about them.
And we talk about them, yeah. That is my I can't believe you haven't seen podcast idea. That will never happen because it requires me to do something.
I know. I want you to do it though.
It's unfortunately it's not just about me. Maybe I should just force guests to watch movies that I've never seen. I don't care if you've seen Titanic 100 times. I've never seen it.
So you've never seen Titanic?
No.
Can't believe Ben hasn't seen it. That's the name.
Yeah. Much better than the working title, which is Ben's a fucking idiot. That's
the tagline.
That's what it says on the embroidered shirt I have for the show. The cast and crew jacket.
Yeah. It's got your name on the front, fucking idiot on the back.
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot. He's on the back.
Yeah. All right. So before we run off some other titles, let me go through the now infamous Brody list.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure he appreciated that. Number 1 listener, Brody, he always likes us to talk about the horror films. So some horror films from 97. We had Relic, and Mimic. That was the same year. I remember they kind of came out around the same time. Confused me a little bit.
Yeah.
American Werewolf in Paris, Anaconda, Alien Resurrection, Leprechaun 4, Campfire Tales. I'm going to lump Cube in there as well. The Devil's Advocate, Event Horizon. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Jack Frost. Do you remember the horror film Jack Frost? That came out the same time as the family film Jack Frost with Michael Keaton.
But only one of them had a lenticular cover on the VHS.
That's correct. That confused me too. Night Watch, Office Killer. I like that one. Quicksilver Highway, Scream 2, Spawn, Trucks, The Ugly, and Wishmaster.
Now, how many films is that?
A lot. I don't know. That looks like about 25 maybe.
25. How many of those do you think are in Glenn's top three or 4 films of the year?
Oh, look, I can... I don't know. You probably think that all of them are in there.
No, actually, funnily enough... I don't think I don't have there's not a horror film in my list of well
that helps. We like to guess which top 3 we would each pick for that year. Some other movies going throughout the year, and once again there's too many to name them all, but we'll go with a few like Turbulence. That's
you mean Fear is in the Air?
That's right. The tagline was bigger than the title.
On the VHS they had people coming into the shop
going,
where's Fear is in the Air?
That's right.
What are you talking about?
The classic that is Beverly Hills Ninja.
Yes.
That's in there. Metro. That was like Eddie Murphy trying to do Beverly Hills Cop again.
And failing miserably.
He had cornrolls. Axel Foley doesn't have cornrolls.
It didn't have Marty Brest at the helm.
That is true. Fierce Creatures. That was the Fish Called Wanda kind of follow-up.
Oh, yeah, the sequel, yeah.
Gridlocked, Waiting for Guffman, Dante's Peak, Suburbia, Vegas Vacation, Lost Highway. This is heaps.
Vegas Vacation was a banger, wasn't it?
Well, it was. It wasn't. It wasn't. Like it hit with a thud when it came out. Like it.
I'm sure. Look, yeah.
The problem with it, I reckon, is the opening because they took away that whole sort of musical intro, like the Holiday Road, and
they took Kenny Loggins out of Vegas Vacation.
Yeah, but what they did was they put Brian Wilson in there, and it was the Beach Boys doing the opening with Clark driving home as a klutz, driving over rubbish bins and over the curb. That's not actually who Clark Griswold is. He's not the klutz. He's just well-intentioned and finds himself in awkward situations.
He's just put upon.
Yeah, that's right.
But I have to say
that it's a fun movie.
My favourite part of the film is the Not Quite Right Casino. That section of the film
comes back into it.
That section of the film, I think, is just the greatest idea in a movie ever. Literally, you go in and like Wallace Shawn is the guess what number I'm thinking of. Like that's the gambling game.
That's the game.
Quotes. Like it's all ridiculous things that they play at the casino, and that's the one that they. No, well, he doesn't clean up because Wallace Shawn beats him every time. What number am I thinking of? 7? No. 5? No. 6? No.
Such a good gag. I don't think it was appreciated at the time.
No.
I also like the dam gag where they're going to the Hoover Dam and it's the dam tour. And any questions? Anyone got any damn bait? But we are easily amused. That's probably our problem there. Not many people would agree with this that that's a bit of a banger. What else we got? Matchmaker, U-Turn, Boogie Nights, Rocket Man, 7 Years into Bet, Air Bud, like classic.
The first of a very long franchise.
Oh, huge franchise. They went on to do
dog playing sport
the
movies.
Air Buddies. Then you had the monkey ones, and it was all Air Bud Presents.
Yeah,
it's an industry. And only 2 people, maybe 3, appreciate it. Myself, Simon Harcourt, who is a listener, and maybe you, to a degree.
No, I think you're on your own there.
2 of us.
Just the two of you.
Us appreciate that
I
franchise.
I have not seen a single Air film. I have not even... no, I have seen the Air up there. I did see that on your release, but I don't know what year that came up. There's no animal in that one.
All right, so before we guess each other's, let's go through some Aussie ones. The Castle came out in 97.
You're dreaming.
Huge. She must be joking. No, he's dreaming. He's joking. What am I talking about? I was trying to think of another one.
Stick it in the pool room.
Oh, I dug a hole.
It's going straight in the pool room. Oh, great job, mate.
Do you know, for the American cut, they changed rissoles to hamburgers?
Ah.
These are lovely. What do you call these? Hamburgers. They're rissoles.
You know, I have to say that the first time I went to America, I went to a Denny's and I ordered like the big lumberjack breakfast. And it came with sausages. And when I got the thing, I complained because I'm like, where the fuck are the sausages? And because for them, our sausages are sausage links.
Yeah.
And their sausages are like hamburger patties. And I was like, they're like that. And I'm like, that's not a sausage.
It's sausage.
It's sausage meat.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, I don't know what.
Mind you, if you get a sausage and egg McMuffin here, it
doesn't come in a sausage.
You don't get a wiener.
Look, I don't have those. I don't have any of that poison. But it's because I don't really like muffins.
Oh my god! So other Aussie ones: Black Rock, Diana and Me, Doing Time for Patsy Cline. I forgot about that until I was researching this. Epsilon. It's the Rolf de Heer movie that sort of gets overlooked when you talk about Rolf de Heer. Heaven's Burning, Joey, Kiss or Kill, Oscar and Lucinda, Paradise Road, Pause, Road to Nil, True Love and Chaos, Welcome to Whoop Whoop, and most importantly, the Wiggles movie.
The Wiggles. Well, but do the Wiggles part their beef curtains like they do in Welcome to Whoop Whoop? It's the first time I ever heard that phrase was watching that film.
So many directions I want to go with that, but I won't because we have a respectable guest on the show, and so I'm not going to disgrace myself. Are there any 97 movies that stand out to you?
The Edge. I love The
Lee
Edge.
Tamahori. There we go.
Jerry Goldsmith's
two mentions in one
soundtrack is just like I think that's his best soundtrack. I love The Edge. I've listened to that 1,000 times.
There's a fantastic article in Vanity Fair all about the making of. Like the journalist got to be, like not for the actual making of, but all of the pre-production.
Yeah, because it's got a great history. This one.
And there was this big, funnily enough, there was this big thing with Alec Baldwin, who insisted that his character would have, 7-day growth kind of thing. Like he wanted a beard, and they're like, no, look, the whole reason we've cast you is that you're so pretty. Yeah, we want your face. Yeah, and he was like, no, like we're out in the wilderness. I wouldn't be shaving. I'd have a beard. This is ridiculous.
Yep.
And it went on, and they eventually gave in, and then it all kind of came out that he just thought he was a bit fat. And wanted the beard to cover up his double chin.
Okay, yeah, right.
Which is, it's in this like massive vanity. Back when Borders was around, and you could read.
Okay.
You could just go in there and read the magazine.
And little did he know he'd become fat later.
Yeah.
You know.
He's always been one of those guys who battled.
Yeah, for sure. But it wasn't
yo-yo.
it was something, I think it was Sean Connery was originally supposed to be in it before Anthony Hopkins, something like that, an actor of that caliber.
It actually makes a lot more sense. I always thought, I love The Edge. I thought it was a great film. Elle Macpherson is in it.
Yeah.
But it is a bit, I was like, Anthony Hopkins is not going to beat Alec Baldwin at a bear. And Glenn Plummer.
That was one of those ones shot in Vancouver when I was there.
Really?
Yeah. That era of like Canadian productions is my jam because I was there and I was living vicariously around the scenes.
Yep.
What are some others? Any?
Contact?
Oh, yeah.
I love Contact. That's a very interesting film.
That's the original Interstellar, I say.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
better than Interstellar.
A lot of people didn't like the ending. Like when she sees her dad on the beach, everyone's like, "What?" But I thought it was perfect. It's
Yeah,
like they
I
set that up
kinda
for
like
her,
that too.
for her to progress. What's not progress, like
Process.
sort of process
Yeah.
exactly what's happening. So yeah,
Yeah. Jeez, I forgot all about that one. That's Robert Zemeckis, yeah?
It was
Yeah.
it was the movie where they asked us to believe that Matthew McConaughey was a scientist, though. It's pretty. All right, X equals MC squared. All right.
well, he's a religious guy, right? He's the
the-
religious guy that.
And he is
that's
in real
even-
life.
It's even worse.
And if you watch it carefully, Jodie Foster is this much shorter than Matthew McConaughey, and when they stand together like this, and then they go for a walk, and then they're like this, because they actually put boxes up so they could kiss at the end of the scene. So watch it very
Wow,
carefully. Their height
wow.
changes dramatically.
That's hilarious. They should have just dug a hole. It's easier.
They had to do the same thing for Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth for Thor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
and he's
They have to do the same for Pacino and De Niro in The Irishman.
an incredibly awkward makeout scene.
Yeah, that's right. Those damn Irishmen.
He just likes De Niro because he's got a fat ass.
That was a bang-on impression. Man, why have you... How many years have we been doing this and you haven't...
I haven't trotted out the old Al Pacino. It's the best, the best part of Heat. The only part I remember.
You doing that puts me in heat.
And Hank Azaria wasn't expecting it either. That's his reaction. He's like, Jesus. And it's just a legitimate reaction to Al Pacino just going full Pacino.
Man, 97 is a great year. I think we're getting towards where we're predicting there's a drop-off. Like, cinema kind of loses a little bit of mojo, and I reckon we're getting close to it. It's probably around the 2000s where... Maybe 2002, 2003.
Yeah. Why did we get so lucky from like 93 to 2000? Like what happened then? Like
I
what
wouldn't
was?
even argue from like 82.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep.
Through because then you had all the Ghostbusters and all the
But are our parents looking back at the 70s and 60s thinking the exact same thing?
Probably.
I think it's just
But it is definitely like you look at like things like box office, audience, reception. Cinema's different from the 80s.
Yeah.
Jaws came along, gave us the blockbuster, so just everything kind of changed.
But there was that weird... The weirdest part is like from the 50s to the 60s where the studio was still doing like westerns and stuff, but the audience was getting into things like The Godfather and that kind
Easy
of
Rider
70s.
kind of
changed the thing. But the studios were so slow in realizing it. So it's a real interesting period.
It was the first wave of indie.
But look, I've got a lot of let's just say digital movies at home, and I use Plex to sort them all out, and that has a year function, which is what I do when I prep for this show for the years, and I just when I pick because I always choose my film recommendation from one of those from a film from the year
that we're talking
about, and it is astonishing. Like sometimes I just want to watch. You can do it by decade as well. So I just feel like watching a movie from the 40s.
Yeah,
and it just will.
That's cool.
It's amazing. I love doing it. It's great.
Cool.
But so far in this journey of ours this year, I've yet to come across a year that was like there's nothing here I really like.
Yeah.
It's coming.
2003.
Yeah. That's all right.
I don't know.
All right, so let's guess each other's top three. If we can get one right from our top three or top five, whatever, I reckon we're doing pretty good. So can I guess yours first?
Sure.
I reckon you got to have Grosse Pointe Blank in there.
I certainly do.
Yep, and you got to have LA Confidential.
I certainly do.
And Chasing Amy.
No, I didn't have that one in there.
Okay. There
Very
we go.
interesting.
Well, that's the best I've done yet.
You've done really well.
All right, you haven't got mine.
Starship Troopers.
No.
Yeah. Face Off.
No.
Wag the Dog.
No, never.
Wow.
No.
I thought you would love Wag the Dog.
It's okay. I just don't love it.
Wow.
No, I mean,
I also had Beverly Hills Ninja and Vegas Vacation, but they were just joke ones.
No, but you're on the right kind of track for one of them because I thought you would have guessed Rocket Man. Harlan Williams.
It didn't come up when I was doing the search.
This is not the Elton John Rocket Man. This is a Disney film from '97. It's a slapstick G-rated comedy. Your kids would love this.
Yep.
I highly recommend you check it out.
Cine Nerdle doesn't acknowledge its existence, which is the big problem with Cine Nerdle.
I know. You can't
Have you
bamboozle
ever
anyone.
played Cine Nerdle?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's an app. It's a game you play with people on your app. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yep.
basically, it'll throw up a movie,
Yep.
and you have to think of another movie that's connected to it by a cast member or a creative.
It's like 6 degrees of
Okay,
Canadian,
yeah. That sounds cool.
It's
That sounds
really
awesome.
cool, but there's a countdown and you've got to beat the timer.
And you're playing against someone else, so that you kind of throw up these obscure films, hoping to screw them so that they can't.
Yeah.
You've got like 3 or 4 different ways out. If you can escape, or you can.
That sounds great.
Bring up a cast list, or you can do all these kind of things. But when they run out, that's when you start throwing in the Rocket Mans.
Maybe it doesn't pick up Rocket Man because it is one word, not two, and the M is capitalized, I believe.
Sometimes it's. I know that I like Trigger Happy, but it prefers Mad Dog Time, the US title.
That's
stuff
the,
like that.
that's the other.
I don't really know
problem.
what the.
So the other ones on my list were Kissed, the Molly Parker film.
Oh, okay, that's a great film.
Love it, and that's because I was there at the time. It meant a lot to me.
That also does tie in with your inability to tell the difference between the Lilydale Cemetery and the Pakenham Cemetery because you're just too busy banging the corpses to really.
It's a movie about necrophilia.
Pay attention to the...
Was it Roger Ebert said it's one of the most beautiful films about necrophilia he's ever seen? Cube.
Yeah.
And The Sweet Hereafter, which is the Adam Agoyan film.
I had that down. I'd picked some for you that I thought would be your picks, and I had The Sweet Hereafter down. I also had The Postman.
The Postman is... I love it. Completely underrated.
And The Rainmaker.
I had...
I didn't care too much for it.
No, really?
No.
I didn't like them.
I had Contact.
Yeah, that's probably number 4, to be honest. That's pretty close to the top 3, yeah.
This is an interesting one, actually. Like, do I go for you in that sort of more nostalgic sort of popcorn movie thing, or do I go for a drama?
Go popcorn.
Go popcorn?
Yeah.
Okay, Con Air?
No way.
No way, okay.
Definitely no way.
An emphatic no way.
It's definitely not Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion.
No.
Or Good Burger.
No.
Not
the Ice Storm?
Jackie Brown.
That's one of mine.
That was one of yours too.
Yeah, I had Hard 8, Jackie Brown, Ghost Point Blank, and then I threw in Austin Powers.
How funny, yeah.
And
Austin Powers.
And The Game.
How funny that Hard 8.
Well, the Game is a movie I feel like you can only watch once.
Yeah.
Once you know, then I've never felt the need to go back and watch it again.
Yeah, maybe there's some things you pick up. I don't know, but
yeah.
But Hard 8 and Boogie Nights, same year,
same
director. So
Yeah,
what are your favourites?
Titanic's probably number 1.
Okay.
I saw it 3 times at the cinema. I love it. We'll get on this later. It's James Horner. I love James Horner's music. Anything, if he does a soundtrack for anything, I'm like,
it bothers me when people shit on it because I just think it's a marvelous film.
It's so solid. Yeah. It's just a solid movie, and it's
Billy
just
Zane's in it. So
yeah.
And playing an arsehole, which is
I'm chasing him for the show too.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Listen to your friend Billy Zane.
Yeah, I'm on a roll at the moment. I've landed some good guests, and like he's my next target.
Get Billy.
Yeah,
that'd be mad.
Then we can talk about Lake Consequence. The movie. What's the movie about, Billy? Like, he's like, we want you to do this movie, Billy. Oh, what's it about? Well, it's you having a 3-way with Joan Severance and some other woman. I'm in.
And
Couldn't sign the contract fast enough.
I'll talk about Sniper.
Yeah.
Okay, so Titanic. Any others?
I love Suburbia.
Oh my god!
I've watched it so many times. It's my. I have to start that movie at like 3 a.m. So when the sun comes up in the movie, the sun comes up in real life, and it's like this is the best thing.
That is awesome.
And probably. What was the other one? Titanic. You said probably The Edge. I love The Edge. I've seen it. So I saw it at the cinema that they came out, and no one else was in there. It's just me and my friend. It's like empty.
I love. Yeah, that's the best. That's the best when you go to the movies and there's no one else there, and you just get the whole thing for yourself. My go-to gag was when we first got cars, which would have been like 98, was from Suburbia. That part where he runs backwards into the car.
Oh, yeah.
I did it to everyone. Everyone who got a car,
his character,
was like the first thing I did.
Okay. His character is just so funny. Like it's just.
I just pull my headphones in.
Not many people know that film. It's only ever went to VHS, right? Never went beyond VHS, I don't think. So.
And it was the movie.
Yeah, you're right.
For years, it was. Anytime Giovanni Ribisi would be in something, or Steve Zahn, I'd be
it's that guy.
It's from Suburbia.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
And it's that movie I had on preview tape.
Yeah,
it was a preview tape.
Sample only.
Yeah, and the other side was like the 6th floor or something like that. It was one of those weird sci-fi movies.
Yeah, 13th floor, the green one with Gretchen Mol.
Yeah.
Oh, the green cover.
Yeah. I think they were on the same preview tape.
On the same tape, yeah.
Let's find out what the Boneheads pick.
Do you want to do it since it's at your house?
Oh, sure. Welcome to
Bonehead Weekly Fun Size. Clearly, I won't be replaced anytime soon. We're at a secret bunker.
namely my house, just more zoomed out because I have these other two guys with me.
So we're going to do 1997. Now, who wants to go first? I'll go first. Breakdown. Breakdown is one of those solid movies. It's not my favorite, but I don't think it gets enough play.
It doesn't. You're right. I just was not expecting that.
And that's the reason I picked it, because there's some other movies I like better. But Breakdown, I actually watched some of it again a while back, and it is one of those solid B movies that every point of it works. And it has J.T. Walsh in a fantastic performance as a bad guy. Kurt Russell and his wife, sorry actress, are traveling across country. They're broke. These truckers hijack people, take them off.
Well, they're not broke. They're broke down.
No, they're broke because they were talking about they spend all their money on that Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Oh,
they're broke.
Yeah.
They look like they have money. And then he has to track his wife down. If you've never seen it, it's directed by Jonathan Mostow. Go on to do U-571, another good movie, Terminator 3. Too bad he didn't do some more. I really enjoy it.
James, you want to go?
Sure. I'm going to go Event Horizon. It's a visually striking film, and I do love the idea of trying to travel through space, and I'm a big Star Trek fan, so warp and all that stuff. But what if you did it and it opened the gateway into, well, effectively hell?
I know. I rewatched it. It's still his best movie.
It is his best film, bar none.
But
the visuals are so striking.
Like a third of it works, and then a third of it's just.
I would argue it is, outside of Spielberg involvement and outside of John Carpenter and Sam Neill's best movie.
Yes. No.
Woo, no. What?
No, what's the one where he's got the little boy?
The Wilder people?
Yeah. Part 3. I got to cut this shit out.
Yeah, oh my God. Anyway, my pick for 1997 is by far, I am a lifelong Kevin Smith fan. I always will be. And when I saw Chasing Amy on a VHS tape in my friend's house,
right after that homemade porn that was the same tape of that friend's mom.
It was actually a double movie marathon of, he introduced me to Mallrats and Chasing Amy at the same time.
And his mom.
Because I was a huge fan of Clerks, as was he. And when I saw Chasing Amy, I'm like, he just keeps knocking it out of the park. And it's still tied for my best Kevin Smith film of all time. So in 1997, you have to give props to Kevin Smith for Chasing Amy.
And this has been Bonehead Weekly
Fun Size.
He got it down.
Yeah, I'm the clown.
Down with the clown. All right, we're just talking.
You want to talk about their picks? They had some great picks. Breakdown is a great movie. I never got into Event Horizon.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. So, James, you haven't seen the segment, Glenn. He reckons that Event Horizon is Sam Neill's best film. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know. That's how the other.
Jurassic Park.
Has you seen The Hunt for Red October?
Yeah, as you said, Jurassic Park. Accent? Dead Calm, In the Mouth of Madness, the piano.
Yeah.
Sweet Country. I even love him in The Dish. This is a really controversial.
Possession. Death in Brunswick.
I think he threw that statement out and didn't even think about it.
Like it's a heart. Like Sam Neill has been in so many great films. It's a real
Omen 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or 3. Omen 3. Final conflict.
Yeah. He's Damien.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, controversial. I wanted that for the TikTok so everyone can weigh
He's
in
just
with
the
their
heart
own
of an artist with the haircut of a nerd.
with their own comment. What is Sam Neill's best
film?
Yeah. And now we can do movie
Gauntlet
battle.
Throne.
Now the sound effect.
Now
movie
do the sound
battle.
effect. Do the
No,
sound
it's an
effect.
explosion.
It's
not the pew pew pew.
Pew, that's the rapid fire one.
Yeah, you lured
I'm
me
mixing
into
them up.
you lured me into the wrong one the other week.
I just like getting you to go pew pew pew.
Yeah, it
pew,
made me
pew.
look like an idiot. Thanks.
So this way now, I believe these are your choices, Glenn.
Yeah, two of my
we got
favourite films.
Braveheart versus Field of Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So one from 95, the other from 89. Braveheart, directed by Mel Gibson. I think was this the first movie he directed?
Second.
No, second. Man
Without a Face.
Without a Face.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the first film he directed. What a weird movie for Mel Gibson. A man who's made his career based on his face.
Well,
Because I'm just going to rip it off.
I think that would have been the proof, like the tester for him to get.
You got to do something. Yeah,
the okay to make Braveheart,
because Braveheart was a fucking epic.
It is
like it is the closest
very
thing.
epic.
I think the closest thing we have to like a Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
Until what's her name came? We were talking about earlier. The guy who directed 2012 and Day After Tomorrow and
Roland Emmerich.
Before he came along and started making those big, disaster kind of movies.
Yeah.
Which are basic, I guess, actually are more in
that's
line
the
with
other thing.
Towering Inferno and
these
stuff.
sort of epics did disappear for a while because before this, Dances with Wolves and
Yeah.
But this is an interesting battle because I came into it thinking I knew exactly who was going to win this one.
Oh, interesting.
And then I went and rewatched both, and I've come out with the opposite opinion. So
that's interesting.
The winner for me is Braveheart, but I went into this thinking it would be Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams?
Field of Dreams to me is just such a wonderful... There's nothing I can fault with it. It's wonderful. It's fantastical, and I like a fantastical kind of drama like that. But then when I watched Braveheart, I was so sucked into it. Like, I could not keep my eyes off it. And I thought, nah, this has to take the cake. It's pretty perfect too.
Yeah, look, I kind of...
And it's got mass mooning. Mass mooning.
It does.
Makes a difference.
It does. And it introduced me to the concept of prima nocta, which I appreciate. But I couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it?
I thought the films are just too different and both excellent.
Yep.
I was like, I don't want to pick one. I don't want to have to choose. If I had to get rid of one and I couldn't watch it again.
He's done it. He stumped you.
I was like, look, because they're like,
well done.
I don't spend that much time thinking about Braveheart. Funnily enough, although when I do watch it, I always go and watch the Brendan Gleeson, Mel Gibson Stone battle. That's always my scene. And the Irish guy who talks to God. He goes, "Well, I'm fine, but you're fucked."
Yeah. It's my island. Yeah. That's good.
So what would it be for you?
I go back and forth on this all the time. People say, "What's your favourite film?" And I'm like, Braveheart. Next week, I think it's Field of Dreams. It comes down to the emotion of the film for me. That's what makes me go back to it. I'm always like, I know where this film's going and I want to go there emotionally. And Field of Dreams, but they're both James Horner soundtracks. That's a big thing for me, again, as always. Braveheart is a far more logistical, crazy sort of, project, I guess. Field of Dreams is a lot more, it's a bit slow. There's no action scenes. There's no fighting. There's nothing like
That's
that.
what I actually noticed when I watched these, because Braveheart moved at a rapid pace, when in my mind, that was the long, drawn-out one, and it was Field of Dreams, it was the snappy one. And it's the opposite.
Yeah. No, I felt like Field of Dreams for me... I think the older I get, the more I appreciate it, and I've always loved it.
Yeah.
But look, and every time I see Phil Alden Robinson in anything, he's behind directing anything, you're like, this is going to be great.
Yeah,
this guy just
he
understands tone perfectly, and he nails it. Mm-hmm. But it just the kind of the emotional ride that you get from Field of Dreams that is almost a secret because you don't really know what it is until right at the end.
Yep.
Is there. Whereas Braveheart is just a big epic kind of action film that is, I don't want to say manipulative, but it really does. It knows what it's doing, and it knows how to kind of get you to feel what it wants you to feel when it wants you to feel it, and it is fantastic.
Wears its tricks on its sleeve.
Yeah, and I can't fault it. It's great. It's like people who talk about cliches being bad, and you're like, no, cliches aren't bad. It's only when they're used poorly. Otherwise, they're great.
Yeah.
I take comfort in them. I don't think there's any cliches in Braveheart or anything. But it is a movie I really appreciate, and it is fantastic. It's just. It's just a different level to Field of Dreams.
Yeah,
Field
they're
of Dreams
completely different films.
Like Field of Dreams too. Depending on your relationship with your parents,
makes a difference.
It does really.
Yeah.
It hits you differently.
I watch YouTube reactions to it almost every day. I just watch, someone's going to watch Field of Dreams, and they're just like, some people are like, okay, his dad turned up great. Other people are like, his dad turned up, like losing their minds.
100%.
Yeah.
What's interesting with Braveheart is, and what I really want to see is there's a 4.5 hour cut of Braveheart that exists apparently.
Wow.
And Mel Gibson and his editor got a note from the studio saying, don't let the audience get ahead of you. And they cut out like an hour and a half of it or something to get it down to the time it is now. And I'd love to see the stuff they cut out.
I would too. So you know what I actually did? Like, I finished Braveheart and went back to back. I put on Robert the Bruce. Which is the sequel. Right?
Yes.
Which was made by local lad.
Australian guy. Yeah.
What's his name? Oh,
Kenny Powers.
He's the guy
I
that's
know the
made
guy you're
that new
talking
one
about.
with Pierce Brosnan and Samuel L. Jackson, The Holy Trinity or something like that.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Western. He owns the Yellowstone Ranch Studios in Montana.
Oh, yeah. You interviewed him on the show.
Yeah, and that's why I'm spewing that I've forgotten his name.
It's better than you forgot that you interviewed the girl from Top Gun, so this is a step up.
He worked at the Forest Hill Hoyts.
Just edit it out. It's
Richard Gray.
Oh, there you go.
Worked at the Forest Hill Hoyts. So I watched that. And
Yep.
what I found interesting going back to back, because sometimes if you put distance between the two, you don't notice like the stark difference. It's shot really well. It looks fantastic. And it's pretty well performed, but there's just no story. That's the problem, is the story doesn't go anywhere and there's nothing to keep you invested. But it's a fascinating, because it was actually written by Angus McFadden. Is that his name? McFadden.
Yeah.
The guy that
Robert
played
the Bruce.
in the original.
Yep.
And he obviously returns. So it's just a fascinating sequel kind of movie.
It's amazing how different that is depending on whose side of the story you take to.
Yeah.
The whole Robert the Bruce thing.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Because he's really torn up in Braveheart. And then in other movies, you're like, no.
Well, and they retold his story recently with Chris Pine playing the character.
Yeah, that's right.
Last King or something like that, I think it's called.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
I like his leopard dad. But the dads in this...
He just,
in Braveheart are all fucking great.
Every scene, his face just keeps getting a little bit more mangled.
Yeah, mangles. And that's the guy. He's the president in Clear and Present Danger.
Yeah.
But he's always been TV's James Cromwell.
Oh.
Because I was like, who? But he's the... Then you go, oh no, but he's the guy from The Thing.
Yeah, he is the guy from The Thing, but he also reminds me...
Cutting me out of this fucking... He's a great... One of the greatest losing it moments in cinema history.
I used to confuse him with Uncle Henry from Punky Brewster.
George Gaines. Commandant Lassard.
All right,
But Patrick McGowan.
Who's he?
He's the King of England.
Oh, yeah, of course.
William Longshanks.
Yeah, that's a great...
And he is like one of cinema's greatest bastards.
Yeah.
Like, I love when he throws his... it's I guess it's
not a spoiler.
homophobic and all that sort of stuff.
yeah.
But when he throws his son's boyfriend out the window, it's one of the funniest.
It's a very funny moment.
Scene when he does it. It's like it's a great tension release for that scene.
They're going to come after it now.
But then
Just cancel Braveheart.
Cut it out. Cut out the whole boyfriend character. But it always, for me, I used to love this movie called Ridicule, which is this French movie.
I know it.
It's a fantastic film. It's set in it's set in France around the time of King Louis and Marie Antoinette and all that sort of stuff. And it's this backwoods, he's a marquis, but he's of this rural part of France, and he wants funding from the king to build an aqueduct to save his peasants from the plague and pestilence and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he travels to Paris, and there he discovers that at that particular time, King Louis is really into quips, and insults.
Yep.
And so that's how you kind of get ahead and become well known and get attention in court. Is if somebody insults you, you have to be able to insult them back.
Right. Yep.
Kind of thing. And it's this great movie. But the opening scene of the movie is this guy who's had like a stroke, and he's like in his infirm bed, and this horse riding up to the castle, coming in, walking up all of the stairs to the top room where this guy is sitting there paralyzed, and he just urinates on him. And the guy just can't move because he's paralyzed with his stroke. And then you find out that's because this guy was like one of the sharpest wits in Paris and had decimated all these people, like ruined their lives with his wit, and had them thrown out of court and stuff like that, and really destroyed them. And now he's been laid low. But it always reminds me of that scene where in Braveheart, where she whispers that it's not your son.
Yeah.
You know,
right at the end.
Right at the end, it's like a great. It's a great fuck you
All right,
moment.
let's put a ribbon on this. Which is the best? Is it a tie?
Yeah, I couldn't pick one.
I pick Braveheart.
I want to say a tie as well, I think.
It's a tie.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Shapow pow!
Pew pew pew!
Pew pew pew! It's time for rapid fire recommendations.
Okay.
What did you go with this year?
I went with a film from, it's technically 2023, but it's actually almost 50 years old when you go through the history of this film. It's a long pre-production. Umbrella recently put it out on Blu-ray. It's Primevals.
Oh, right.
This is wonderful. It is a movie directed by David Allen, who was a stop-motion genius back in the day. And it was a passion project of his that he started the production 50 years ago. Kind of got stop-started along the way. Eventually went into production in the early 80s or 90s, I believe. Got it done. Died. Never got finished. The kind of film disappeared. And then it was resurrected only recently. Completed, remastered entirely, and put out onto the streaming platforms and onto Blu-ray. And it's just incredible. Like, it is so incredible.
Isn't it amazing that animation is really the only, and especially stop motion, is the only one that you can do it? Like, James Cameron has this problem with the Avatar movies and stuff, is that all the actors age out before he's ready to film them. He's like, we've got to do it all the motion capture stuff now.
Yeah.
Like, you have to shoot all of the human parts in Avatar too, because he goes, well, we can motion capture the other ones, it'll be fine. But Sigourney Weaver's not going anywhere. But that kid is not going to be that kid for too long. And it's my favourite thing in sitcoms when you watch, like, they've got the three brothers, like in Home Improvement, and the younger brother all of a sudden is 3 times taller than Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
It's the Stranger Things syndrome.
They just grow out of it.
So this movie is essentially The Lost World meets Planet of the Apes meets Kingdom of Crystal Skull. Like, it's all of those things together. It's about an expedition to find the last remaining Yetis that exist, because they have captured one and realize that these mythical creatures are real. So they go off to the Himalayas to search for one, and then they actually discover a lost hidden world sort of beneath the surface that is it's kind of... Don't want to give too much away, because I reckon you should go watch this and discover it. But the trailer does sort of suggest this. There's an alien civilization under there as well.
Ah,
so
interesting.
That's where the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull sort of comes into it, and it's very similar. You'll see the similarities. But wonderful movie. It is actually put out through Full Moon, so it's a Charles Band thing. But 50 years of history of this film. Wonderful. The stop motion is glorious. That's my recommendation.
Fantastic. Well, like I have been of late, I went to 1997 and I watched, which I had zero interest in watching in 1997, had zero interest in watching in 1998, 1999, all the way up till last week. And I finally went, you know what? I'm going to do it. It was G.I. Jane.
Oh, wow. Ridley Scott.
Like, it's a big movie written by David Twohy.
Yep.
The guy behind The Fugitive and Pitch Black and
former guest of the show.
And Critters 2, I think is his penultimate film, his greatest film. Stars Demi Moore, Viggo Mortensen in an early role, and Bancroft is great in it. She's like she plays a congressman. Jim Caviezel, a really early role for Jim Caviezel, and basically it's a really interesting kind of plot, because what I thought it was is not what it is, and it is. Demi Moore is a lieutenant in the Navy, and her career is kind of stalled because during all the people she kind of came up with during the Gulf War, they went away to combat, and women weren't allowed in combat situations at this point, and so they all advanced in their careers. They all got promoted and got rank on her, and she got left behind, even though she's actually like a brilliant strategist in her kind of field and stuff, but just. The only way forward and promotion is by being in active service. And so Anne Bancroft, who's like one of the head of the appropriations committee, she's a...
3 days later.
There's all sorts of she's got their military bases closing in her district. They kind of work out this deal where he will allow a pilot program to test a woman in
A few moments later.
So then she becomes a SEAL, and sticks it to them. It's great. The thing, it's really interesting.
We're not going to acknowledge what just happened.
No, I just thought you were just going to cut.
No, Ben we've got a different camera angle now. Like Ben just talked the camera
out of juice.
Battery down. What's incredible about it is the movie's shorter than your synopsis.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that works.
It's only 90 minutes.
Far out.
Didn't she eat like a bag of spinach, like these massive bags of spinach for that film, I think, or some sort of crazy diet she was on or something?
Like it's one of those, like she does like one-arm push-ups and stuff like that. She who's the guy who's Curly from City Slickers?
Oh, that's right, Jack Palance.
She out Jack Palance's Jack Palance in it. Like she really goes to town. She puts the work in.
It's the Ridley Scott film not many people talk about, so I'm glad you've brought it up.
And it's interesting too because I always feel like.
All right, well we'll give Mr. Triggs the final say. Do you have a recommendation?
It would have to be Ancestry Road, I guess.
There we go.
Have to be.
Perfect. Yeah, that is perfectly done. Absolutely. So it's dropping onto some streamers shortly, I think even now.
Today it's come out on, I think it's iTunes and Apple Plus and Google Play and stuff. It's still in some cinemas around, so just Google Ancestry Road.
It's got a website.
darkepicfilms.com and just click on the Ancestry Road link, and all the stuff's on there as well. So that's our website. But yeah, it's in cinemas now, so go check it out. It's,
nobody's got any excuses because you can either see it in the cinemas or you can see it on a platform. It is there.
It's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. It is officially the longest episode of the year.
Wait till the edit to decide that.
Do I leave all of G.I. Jane in is the question. Hey, Ben, thanks for being here, mate.
You mean Glenn?
Sorry. Yes,
yeah,
I
fucked it up.
It really has. Awesome. All right. Until next week. Ciao.
Bye. Now let me tell you a bit more about G.I. Jane.